Hello everyone, welcome back to my 4-Star School YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to finish our Economist Close app. In the last lesson, we have finished our homepage for this Economist Close app, and in this lesson, we're going to implement this detailed close page. But before we start, and I will assume you have knowledge about Flutter. If you are new to Flutter, feel free to reach out to my channel page, and I create a Flutter tutorial for you guys to familiar with those basically most commonly used the Flutter widget, and also teach you how to customize it. After you finish this tutorial, I also create another Flutter UI from scratch tutorial, and you can follow those videos to create a bunch of beautiful Flutter UI projects. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and sum up my content if you like my video. Also turn on the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter UI tutorial. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. First, we're going to open our design file, Visual Studio Code, as well as the Android emulator. And here I already run my app on my Android emulator. And we will start from a last lesson to implement the button navigation bar. So back to our home.dart file. Inside this home page, we're going to create a list of button list, which is store a list of icons. So the first one is home icon, and the second one is a menu icon. The third one is a heart icon, and last one is a user icon. Same as those design. So then we will find a button navigation bar attribute inside the scaffold, and we're going to use the button navigation bar widget. Inside this button navigation bar, we actually need to set some attributes. So first one is this show selected label. I'm going to set to false, and then is this show unselected label, going to set it to false as well. And next we're going to set the type of this button navigation bar, because we have more than 4 items in our button navigation bar, so we must to set this button navigation bar type to fixed. So we're going to find button navigation bar type dot fix, and last one will be these items, which is the most important one. So we're going to use this button list. So we're going to remove this square bracket and use button list.map function. So inside the map, we're going to return button navigation bar item. So inside each item, and we're going to implement this label for attribute, and also which is the element, and also the icon. So icon would be image access and access icons, and also okay, and I'm going to set the weight to 25, otherwise you will be very big. And after that, I'm going to turn this iterable into a list. So I'm going to turn this iterable object to list. Okay, so let's save, Just wait few seconds, you will see the button navigation bar showing on our home screen. Now we're able to see our button navigation bar. Since we wrap this entire page inside this single child scroll view, so actually we can scroll down this home page. And next we're going to implement the detail page when I actually click the item inside this new arrival section. So back to Visual Studio Code, I'm going to find our detail folder. Inside the detail folder, I'm going to create a file called detail.dar and also create a widget folder to store our custom widget. And for this detail page, I'm going to create a stateless widget, and I just call it detail page and remove the constructor for now. And also I need to import a library. So here I'm going to replace this container with our scaffold widget. So inside the scaffold, we have this body attribute, and we're going to use a single child scroll view as well. So inside the single child scroll view, we have a child attribute, and I'm going to use the column widget. So in this column, first just display some text we can see. So child, it should be children, right? And here I just display some text, just call it detail. And remember, we have this image, this title, and also the description or the price we're going to use. So I think we can use the object passed from our home page. So I'm going to declare an attribute inside this detail page, call it close. I need to import a class as well. So I'm going to implement it is constructor. Okay, let's save. And then we're going to find this item. So I think it's inside the home folder under this widget folder. We have this close item, and we're going to wrap this card with gesture detector, and I'm going to use gesture detector. Inside this gesture detector, we have this onTap method, and I'm going to use the navigator dot thing is of context and dot push. Inside this push method, I'm going to use material page route. Inside this material page route, we're going to implement this builder method, and we pass the context, and we navigate to a detail page and parse this closed object. Also, we need to import a library. The page, yes. Okay, let's save. Now, when I click this item, I will be navigate to the next page. So when I click it, you'll see we actually navigate to the detail page. Then we can customize it from this point. Back to our design file. First, we're going to implement this carousel, which we can swap those model picture. And in order to implement this carousel, I'm going to use a library which is called this carousel slider, and I'm going to install it. So first we select this installing tab, and I just copy this dependence, and under my pub space YAML file in line 30, I'm going to paste it and save it. Then the Flutter pubget will running. After a few seconds, it will complete. So I can close it now, and then back to my detail file. And I'm going to create a detail app bar file, detail app bar file. So inside this detail app bar file, and I'm going to create a stateful widget because I'm going to keep track of the index which picture I'm going to show. So here I'm going to use a stateful widget here, stateful widget, and I just call it detail app bar. And also we're going to use the close object. So I'm going to first import a library. Then here I just make it a text widget, leave it as empty, and I think I can delete this constructor for now. So let's save. I'm going to import this detail app bar in our detail file. So back to our detail file, and I'm going to delete this text widget and change to our detail app bar. And also I'm going to set this cross alignment for this column to be start. Okay, let's save and open our emulator. So inside the detail app bar, I'm going to receive a close object. I'm going to declare it is constructor, and I'm going to declare close. I need to import a library as well. Then I implement it is constructor by passing close. Okay, let's save. And then I'm going to pass this close to our detail app bar. Let's save as well. And back to our detail app bar. In here, we're going to use this library. So I'm going to import this package on the top of our file. Then inside this detail app bar state, I'm going to declare the carousel controller, which to control those page index. So I'm going to declare final carousel controller, and controller equals to carousel controller. And then I'm going to declare a current page variable, and by default I set to 0, which is our first page. Then I open our design file, and here I'm going to use a stack widget because we can use position widget for this one, and also this indicator. So we're going to create a stack widget inside this container. Let's open our emulator. So inside this container, I'm going to use a stack widget for its children. First, we're going to implement a container. Inside this container, we're going to use this carousel slider. Okay, so inside this carousel slider, we actually have some attribute we need to implement. So the first one is this carousel controller. I'm going to pass the controller we create here, and then is the options. Options, we're going to use carousel options here, and in these carousel options, we're going to set the height of our slider, so be 500, and also the viewport fraction I set to 1, and then is this on page change. This one is most important, and in this on page change I'm going to change our current page, and I'm going to use the set state method inside our state for widget. By default, this onChanged will receive two parameters. The first one is the counter index, and the second one is this carousel page change reason. So I'm going to use this index and also this reason, and I'm going to call this setState method. I'm going to change this current page to the index we select. So after we finish these options, the next one is the items, which is the required attribute we need to implement. So inside these items, and I'm going to actually remove this square bracket. Instead, I will use the widget.close because we have this detail image URL inside this close object. So I'm going to use it, detail image URL, and we're using the map function. And inside this map, we're going to return builder. Okay, and inside this builder, we need to call this builder method, and we pass the context. And inside this context, we can return a container. So in this container, we're going to set our image, so we can use the decoration attribute and set to box decoration, and we have this image attribute. I'm going to use our decoration image. So inside this decoration image, we have this image attribute, and I'm going to use access image, and we can just use the element we can access here. Okay, and also we need to set it is the feet attribute to box feet, and I'm going to let it fit the container height. Also, I can set the border radius for this, and I'm going to set border radius to probably 25. Border radius circular, I set to 25, and then this whole stuff is the iteratable object. I'm going to turn to a list. Okay, now the arrows are gone, so let's save for now. And you will see we have this model's picture show up. Okay, I think I need to give some margin for this image, so I'm going to use edge inset or I'm going to set to 5 and save. Okay, maybe it's not enough. I can give a little bit more. I set to 10. Okay, this works because in here we are using carousel slider. We can actually swipe to see the other model's picture. So when I swipe, you will see we have the other model's picture. And next we're going to implement this indicator. Okay, so after we're going to find this container, we're going to implement a position widget after this container. I'm going to use a positioned widget. So inside this position widget, we have this child attribute, and I'm going to use a road widget, and we have this children attribute inside this road. But here I'm going to remove this square bracket. Instead, I'm going to use the close detail URL, and I'm going to use this smap method. The reason here, because I want to, when I click those indicator, I actually want my carousel slider change as well, because we have this controller right? So I'm going to access its index, which is the key, and we're going to access its entrance dot map. So inside this map, I'm going to access the element, and I'm going to return a container here. So in the container, and I'm going to set the weight to 12 and height to 12 as well. Then I'm going to set this decoration to box decoration. In this box decoration, I'm going to set it is a shape to box a circle shape, and also change the color to I'm going to use the white color, and with opacity. And here I'm going to check if the counter page is the same as the entrance key. Okay, here I'm going to use this. Okay, here's the engine. If it equals engine key, and I'm going to return 0.9. Otherwise, I just return 0.4, which is a little bit lighter. And this whole stuff, and I'm going to return to a list, because you see this row actually accept a list of widget. Okay, I think we can save it for now. And it's hard to see because I didn't position it, and it's very small, so we can change this to a red one and save again. You're able to see, but it's on very top, so I'm going to position it a little bit. So I'm using the button. I set to 30, and left I set to 108. Let's save. You'll move down a little bit by shown here. Probably I need to give some space, so I'm going to set some margin for this small dot. I'm going to set margin, and I use edge inset star symmetric, and for the horizontal, and I set to 4. Let's save. Now it's look much similar, and I also change this red color back to white. Also, you notice when I actually click the second indicator, this image doesn't change. So I'm going to implement these. So I will wrap this container with our gesture detector. I spell wrong. And then I'm going to implement its own tap method. When I tap those indicator, and I'm going to call my controller. I'm going to just pass an anonymous function to call my controller, which is the carousel controller, and I'm going to animate to the page. The page is this entrance key. Okay, let's save. After I save, when I click this indicator again, you'll see this page changed. This carousel changed. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so we finished the first part, and then we're going to implement this color pen, and also this go back button. Let's implement this color panel first. Okay, back to Visual Studio Code. We're going to declare a list of color we're going to use in our color panel. So we're going to create a list of colors. So inside these colors, I'm going to declare 4 different colors. Okay, that's all for our color panel. So let's save, and we're going to declare another position widget after this position widget. In here, we're going to declare another position widget. So first, we're going to set its position bottom 30 and right also 30. Then we're going to implement its child. Here I'm going to use a container. Inside this container, I can set its height to 175 and also the width to 50. Then I'm going to implement its child. For child, I'm going to use a list view dot separator, and then I'm going to implement those required attribute. So for the item, I can just use colors dot length, and for this separate builder, and I'm going to return a size box. Inside this size box, I'm going to set the height to 3, and for this item builder, we're going to pass the context and also the index. Then we're going to return a color. I just call it color picker, and this is our custom widget. And okay, so I'm going to create another file called color picker. For the color picker, it's pretty straightforward, and when you click this button, you will have this border. So I'm going to create another file. I just call it color picker.tar, and inside this color picker, I'm going to create a stateless widget and call it color picker, and going to import the library and remove this constructor for now. And because we're going to pass the data, which is the outline border and the color for this panel, so I'm going to create color two attribute. First one is outer border, another one is the color. So I'm going to implement the color picker constructor and to pass those two, the outer border and the color. And then we're going to return a container. In this case, inside the container, we're going to implement I think another container. So because we have this outline border, so for the first container, the outline container, I'm going to use a decoration box decoration. So inside this box decoration, I'm going to set this border to this outline border. Because this one is actually I think it's a boolean value if we set to true, and I'm going to render the border. So it's dynamic, so I can just call it boolean, and this one can color. So if it is true, I'm going to return the border or so for the border, and I'm going to pass colors. I'm going to use the color to define, and then the weight set to 2. Otherwise, I just return none, which is don't have any border. So this is for outer container. And also, I think we may need some padding. In this case, I just use edge inset or, and I set to 3. So for the inner container, we're going to declare it is decoration as well. Use box decoration. So inside this box decoration, we have this color. Just use the color we passed, and also the shape. Shape should be box shape dot circle. And also, I think this should be the same for the outer for a container. So I just paste it here, and for the inner container, I'm going to declare a padding as well. So I just use edge inset or and set to 15. Okay, I think that's all. So I just save, and I can use in our detail app bar. So here I'm going to import library here, and we need to pass the border, the boolean, and also the color. So for the first parameter, we're going to check if the current color if equals index. So we're going to, I think we're going to declare a variable called current color. So I'm going to declare, and I will set to 0 as well. So I move down, so I pass it. If it equals index, we have a border, otherwise we don't have border. And the second value, I think it's just colors.index, because color is a list. We pass those two, and we save, and you'll be see we have these 4, 3, but actually can be scroll, it's a 4. And here I'm going to do some style a little bit. So for this container, I'm going to remove the padding for this list view. So I'm going to use edge inset star 0. When I save, you'll see all of our 4 items will be shown here. And also I will give some background so you'll be able to see. So in this container, I'm going to implement decoration. So I choose box decoration. Inside this box decoration, and I have the color. I set to black, and with capacity I set to 0.3, and also I set some border radius, and I use circular, and I set to 30. So when I save, you'll see we have this one, and when I actually click, it's not going to change because we didn't implement the set state method. No worry, we're going to style it first, and also we add some padding for our container. I go to use edge inset or and set to A. Let's save. Okay, now it's much similar, and then we can wrap this color picker with the gesture detector. So we wrap this with a custom widget, which is a gesture detector. Inside this gesture detector, we have this onTap method. So inside this onTap method, we're going to write down our set state method. We're going to change the currently color to the index, and we save. Now we will be able to change those color. So when I click, you see this outline will show on our second circle. Okay, I think that's all for this color panel. And next we're going to implement those 2 buttons. So we're going to find this position widget. I'm going to implement a road widget after it. But I need to the container to set some padding and margin. So I'm going to implement the road widget inside this container, and I can set the padding to use edge inset only. So for the top, and I'm going to use the median query to get our status bar, the height of the status bar of context. And I'm going to use the padding top, and the left just 25 and right is 25 as well. So for these children, and I'm going to implement two icons. But first, I think we need to set it is main alignment to space between. Okay, and then we can going to implement our two trials. So the first trial will be a container, and the second trial will be a container as well. But for the first one, and we're going to implement it is child adjust the icon. So inside this icon, and I'm going to use icons dot arrow back iOS, and then I'm going to change the color to gray, and final the size just 20, and I think we can just copy this one and paste it here, but we need to change this icon, and I'm going to change this to more polarized. Okay, let's save, and you will be able to see those two icons. And we need to customize, and for the first container, and I'm going to implement this decoration property. Decoration, I use box decoration. So inside this box decoration, I will have the color, and I use just white color, but with opacity I'm going to set to 0.9. And then is this shape, I'm going to use box shape dot circle, box shape, and let's save. Also we need some padding for the first container. I'm going to use padding and edge it inset or and set to 8. And also I would like to move this arrow a little bit to the right. So I'm going to wrap this icon with our padding widget, and I just use the only, I think only, and I set left to just 10. Let's save. Okay, now it's much better. And also we do the same for the second one. So we can just copy this box decoration and also the padding and paste it here, and we save. Okay, now it's looks much similar. Also, I think for this icon, I'm going to wrap it with our gesture detector, and because when I click it, I want to navigate back to our home page. So for this container, I'm going to wrap it with our gesture detector, and we implement its own tab, and we're going to use the navigator of context pop. Okay, so let's save. When I click this button, we'll be back to our home page. So I click, and let's try for the second one. Okay, that's good. Okay, everything works pretty good. Okay, next we're going to implement this close information. Back to Visual Studio Code, we're going to create another file. I just call it close info.dar, and this one should be a stateless widget. I'm going to create a stateless widget. I call it close info, and just import the library. Also remove the constructor for now, and for here I just change to something else, placeholder. This is a close info, and I'm going to import this in our detail file. So after this detail app, we're going to implement this close info. Let's save, and you'll be able to see we have these close info text shown here. Okay, we can start from this point and back to our close info, and here I'm going to use some information which store in the close object. So I'm going to pass the close object to this close info as well, and I'm going to change this close info. I make a new attribute close. I'm going to import library, also complete the constructor is.close. Okay, so we can use the information stored in this close. So back to the design file, and I think this should be a column widget. This one is our first column, and this one second column and third column. And for our first column, we can actually use a row widget. So back to our file, I'm going to pass the column widget to this trial, and also set some padding for this close info by using symmetric. So for the horizontal 25, for the vertical I set to 10. So for this column widget, we have the children attribute, and you will notice the alignment should be start. So we implement the cross alignment and set to start. So for this children, we're going to first children is this row widget, and the second children just the text. We can also make another row, and the third children is just rich text. So 2 row widget and 1 rich text. Okay, so we can comment now. So for the first row, we're going to implement it is children attribute. We have 2 child. So the first child is this text widget, and the other child is just this favorite icon. So back to Visual Studio Code, and we're going to implement just by passing this text widget. So the text actually comes from this close, so we can using information stored in this close. Okay, I'm going to wrap it this curly bracket and access to the title, and also to it is subtitle close the subtitle, and this is our first row. So for this second, I'm going to find this favorite icon. I think it's inside this close item, which is this one. So I'm going to just copy it, and you can also make a reusable widget. So I can save here, and let's see what's the result. Now we are able to see the text and the favorite icon, and here I'm going to set this main alignment to space between, and also style the text a little bit. I'm going to implement this text style. For the text style, I'm going to make the font weight, and also change the font size to 24. Let's save. Okay, it looks much good now. And for our second row, so I think just to one star icon and one is this score. Alright, so implement this children attribute. So the first one can be icon. Just use icon star star border start border, and also change its color to our primary color. Okay, let's save. You can see our icon here. So for the second row, just a text widget, and here I just hard code it. Feel free to change your close object and store those information there. Okay, so I'm going to style it a little bit. I implement this style attribute, style, text style. I'm going to change the font weight to bold as well. And then the color, change to gray. Let's save. And also, I think I can add some padding. So for the top and the bottom as well. So I wrap this row widget with our padding widget. So for the padding, I'm going to use I think just only. So the top just set to 5 and the bottom set to 10. Let's save. Okay, so let's implement our last child, which is this text, rich text. So inside this rich text, we have this text attribute, and we need to pass this text span widget. Inside this text span, we have this children attribute, and in these children, I'm going to use 2 text span widget. So because we have this red mode is different color. Okay, so for the text, just like oversized hoodie. Okay, this is just some placeholder, and also for the second one, it's just a read more with different colors. So I'm going to implement this style attribute, use text style for the text style, and I'm going to change the color to our primary color using sim context of context dot a primary color. So for the first one, and I'm going to implement style as well. I use the text style. So for the text style, I'll change the color and use dark gray but with capacity, and set to I think the 0.7. Also, I need to change the height for this text. 1.5 is enough. So let's save. And you are able to see our text shown here. Okay, so next we're going to implement this size list. We are going to create another file for this size list. So just call it size list.dar, and inside this size list.dar, and I'm going to create a stateful widget because I want to change the state. And I can use any size list and import a library. Okay, so remove the constructor for now. I'm going to declare a list inside this size list state. So I think just call it this top string. And oh sorry, I need to call it size list equals s m l xl xxl. So that's all. Then inside our container, I'm going to set the height into 60 because I'm going to use a list view. So I must set the height for this container, and also set some padding with edge inset are symmetric. So horizontal would be 25, set to 25, and vertical set to 10. And the trial, and I'm going to use a list view separated. So for this view separated, and I'm going to implement those required attribute one by one. So for this item count, I just use size this dot length, and for this separator, I just return a size box index and size box set weight to 10. And the last one is this item builder. So for the item builder, and I'm going to return the context, passing the context and index. So I'm going to return a container. Alright. So inside this container, we can implement a child. So the child will be a text widget. So for the text will be the size list and the element inside this one, and we can style it a little bit and change the text style and implement it is a color. When I select it, color will be changed. So I think we need to declare another variable to track the state. So I'm going to call it current selected, and by default be 0. I'm going to track of this one. So for the color, and if it's a select, I'm going to change it to our primary color, otherwise it will be a gray color. So and check the currently select if it equals index. If it equals, I'm going to set to our primary color. So otherwise just the gray color. So for the font weight, just bold. Okay, and we can import these and show to see, but we need to set the scroll direction to be horizontal. I'm going to back to our detail file and going to add the size list here. Okay, let's save. You see it's very small and it can be changed because I didn't implement the set state. As for the set state, I'm going to wrap this container with the gesture detector and implement it is on tap the method. So inside this on tap, I'm going to change the state. So I implement this set state here and change the currently select equals index. Okay, let's save. Now we will be able to change the color, you see. And also we need to style it a little bit more. So find our container. We're going to implement this padding first. Keep edge inset symmetric, horizontal horizontal I set to 15 and vertical set to 10. And also the decoration we implement using box decoration. So for the box decoration, also we need to change the color. So we check the currently index if equals index. I'm going to change essence color. Otherwise we just use the white color. So let's save. And now it's much good. And also I think we need border radius and the border. So for the border radius, I just set to 15. And for the border, I just use border.all. And I'm going to change this color to a gray with capacity and set to 0.1, very light, and also the weight set to 2. Let's save. Okay, now it's much similar. Back to our design file. Let's finish our last part, which is this add to cart button. So back to Visual Studio Code and create another file. Call it add cart .tar. And here I'm going to create a stateless widget, and I just call it add cart and remove this constructor. For now, import the library. And also I'm going to use in our detail file, I just call it add cart. And here we're going to use the price from the clothes. So we're going to pass the clothes into our add cart widget. And here I'm going to declare our clothes. We're going to import a library as well. And then implement this constructor. Okay, and in here I consider just use a row widget, and for our first row is a column widget. For the second row just a button. So I'm going to use this row widget, but before we're going to give some padding for our container, and I can use insert.or set to 25, and we can implement one by one. So for our first row will be the column, and the second one just a button. I think we can use elevated button. Okay, we need to implement this on press. Just make it empty. And for the trial, and I think I'm going to use the row widget again. For the row widget, and the fourth row will be the text, the second one will be the icon. So I'm going to, first one is add to cart, and the second one is the icon. Icon star, I think shopping cart. Shopping cart outline. Okay. I think we can save for now. We see this button, and we are going to customize it a little bit more. So for our first column, and we implement this children attribute, and also we need to give the cross alignment for those children. Cross alignment I'm going to set to star, and there will be two text widget inside. So the first text just the price, and the second one just from our clothes dot price. Okay, so let's save, and we're going to style this price and implement a style. Use the text style. Change the font size. to 16, and also color to gray. Let's save. Send for this price. I'm going to implement style. Change the height to 1.5, and also font size just to 20, and also font weight, and change the font weight to bold. Okay, let's save. It's pretty good for me now. Then is this elevated button. First I'm going to give some space. I use sized box and just set the weight to 20. And also I'm going to wrap this elevated button with a container, so we can set its height, and going to 60. Let's save. Okay, and also I wrap this container with the expanded widget, so it will took all the space to the end. And then I'm going to customize it a little bit. So first we're going to style this button. So we implement a style attribute, and we use elevated button dot style from, and we're going to change its shape. We're going to pass the rounded rectangle border. So for the rounded rectangle border, I'm going to set a border radius set to just 15. 15 is enough. And also the elevation, I think it's outside this shape. We can change the elevation to 0. And also the most important is this color, primary color. Going to use a theme of context, so primary color. Let's save. And also we need to style these text as well. So for our first text, and I'm going to implement a style attribute, use text style. For this text style, and I'm going to make it much bigger. Font size change to 20, and also have some space between the icon and text. I'm going to use size box. For the weight, and set to just 10. And also I think we need to make a center. So in this row widget, I set this main alignment to center. Okay, let's save. Yes, I think we finished this detail page as well. Okay, that's all for today's video. And after you finish this tutorial, you actually make this a beautiful e-commerce clothes app. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you can find my Flutter UI tutorial from scratch in my channel page, and we have a lots of beautiful Flutter project you can follow. Okay, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also if you like my video, please subscribe my content. I will be really appreciate. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in next video.